welcome to this special edition of Investors Hangout. This interaction to help you learn and understand savings and investments is brought to you by Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund and Value Research. With me today is Dhirendra Kumar, CEO Value Research. Welcome, Dhirendra.
Thank you.
On a day when the entire world is celebrating women and their achievements, we are here to discuss how smart are really women with money, with their investments. Now, Dhirendra, in today's day and age, what we see is that women are donning multiple hats and, doing a wonderful job at it. But when it comes to money, when it comes to investment, a lot of them still depend on male members of the family. Why do you think that is happening?
Oh, it's simply because of the legacy. Males have dominantly taken all the key decisions in the family anyway, so that's what they're doing. But I think things are changing a bit because sometimes they are better educated, they are better informed. Maybe they have more time sometimes, and I think there are many other variables which make them. It could be purely because of aversion. Many people, it's just not women only. It is also because there are many people who are otherwise very well educated. They understand things. They also are great learners. But when it comes to money issue, they think that it is smart to be saying that I don't know about it. Maybe it is considered to be something, your naivety is considered to be something which is they are proud of. That's a bad thing. This is one area you can do without learning a lot about history, geography, many other things where we spend our time, even the amount of time we spend on politics. But nobody can do without learning about the money issues. What do you do? More so now, where increasingly people will be working or they will have a career where they will have a long phase of their life where their investment has to work for them. That has to produce the income to support them. So that's just not about women only. But yes, it's primarily the legacy issue.
You think there are any odds stacked against women?
No, on the contrary, I think there are evils with them. There's a lot of tailwind with them simply because, they are better equipped. First, lady of the home understands inflation better. Then comes to, working on the budget, working on a tight budget and allocating your resources. Also, I think historically, the asset allocation in a manner so that, there is some allocation for asset accumulation. I think in old times, if you look at our grandmothers and all, 2-3 generations, they were the ones who will actually take care of, particularly in city, because every family actually moved to a city and they were migrant, and getting a home was entirely, sometime it was, we came across this situation also around demonetization, where the lady of the home, they had all the reserve money, they had all the emergency money, and suddenly it had to be exchanged, so it all became public knowledge. Otherwise, and that in some cases it was quite a bit. So we understand that they are better savers, they understand inflation better, they can do budgeting more well, and they can allocate things more intelligently for asset accumulation, spending, and what is the rightful thing. Now it comes to how it is to be invested. I think that has become extremely sophisticated of late. So they have to learn. But I think given these variables, they will be. It's just a matter of providing some input, and they will pick up much better and faster.
Okay, and there's no gender specific.
Absolutely, it's a completely gender neutral thing because I come across as many people, irrespective of men or women, who are not smart with their money, and otherwise very, all other dimensions of life, they're very smart. But that will, I think it's a completely gender neutral situation here.
Okay, so how do you think should a working woman start investing? What are the suggestions that you would give them to?
The fact that, a working woman is still a minority, and they have taken a step ahead in terms of being a working woman and, balancing all the demands for her time, for her attention. I would say that, just learn a little bit. First, get rid of all this notion that it is something complicated, something difficult. The other is, I would say that being a good investor, being good with your savings, you just need to understand 3-4 things. And you have to really take note of 8-10 things which you should not do, which are quite commonsensical. It has nothing to do with your brilliance, education, other things. And if you take care of this, that is all that you need. After that, it is on the go, like you are on a conveyor belt, and then you learn on the course. So I would say that make a list of 10 things that you won't do, and 5 things which you should always do, and that's about it.
And what are the basic rules? What would you suggest?
Oh, the same things, Yeah, a part of your money should be in, your emergency fund should be handy, and they understand it very well. Having your health insurance, having your life insurance if your family is going to be dependent on that, and then dividing the money in 2 parts: short-term money, long-term money. And never invest your long-term money in equity. There are different ways of investing in equity. Average your investment. Don't invest at one go. Be regular with it. And then short-term money should never be invested in equity. Now I'll come to 10, 12, 15 things which nobody should do, and I think for that you keep watching Investors Hangout, because we keep telling about all the things. Don't speculate. Don't have this notion that somebody knows the secret and he will make more money. We are not in a competition. You just have to be well off. You just have to be structured. You just have to be methodical in your approach. And I think ladies can be more methodical. Then comes but first and foremost, what not to do if something is going to be too good to be true. I think this is one aspect on which I think men are more vulnerable. They are more vulnerable, or they are likely to fall for something which is get rich quick, some trick which might be on your way, and that is normally will disappoint you. So something which is too good to be true is unlikely to be true, and having a great belief in this, that this rule will never be broken. Possible that some people become rich, they are early in the phase, they are actually not the last person in the musical chair game, but somebody is going to lose money, and it could well be you. It's a random game. So if you have these 4, 5, 6 rules, that's about it. And then keep building on this. There is no learning which is possible unless you do things yourself. Because whatever I may tell you, if you really don't go ahead and choose the term insurance and do a comparison yourself, why you are choosing one, which rider to have, health insurance, which one, making your claim, or doing your SIP, and doing 3, 4 things, that's about it. And if you can actually ignore all the noise, all the temptation to work on anything else, that's all there to it.
That's about the working women. What about the housewife? They might think that they are not earning, so how can they contribute to investing?
One is that they should actually make a case for themselves so that they become a part owner of the wealth. One is, there's a logical case for it. Assuming that the man in the family is earning and he'll be liable for paying taxes beyond a certain threshold. For example, your investment in equity, and up to 1 lakh rupee per annum capital gains, gains is exempt per individual. So tell your husband that you need some money needs to be invested in your name if you are going to take that tax credit. It's simply smart, splitting that money into 2 accounts. Likewise, even in debt funds, the indexation on a individual basis. Likewise, so splitting that, accumulating that money, and taking the advantage of that capital gains is important. And of course, all the other things in terms of allocating money, your savings attitude, and the bigger role which they can play is, a housewife who is learning about these things, and if they are able to appreciate indexation, if they are able, inflation, the power of compounding. So the biggest contribution they can make is, not demanding too many things early, and the benefits of that, because investment is just postponed consumption, and if you postpone your consumption for a while and the magic of compounding kicks in, then you are likely to have greater resources at a later date, and appreciating that itself can bring in far greater degree of well-being for the family financially.
Time now to move on to the viewers' questions. The first one comes in from Megha Agarwal, who wants to know what are sovereign gold bonds and if it's worth investing in them.
Ideally not. I'm not a great believer in gold as an investment avenue, and for understandable reason that all broader asset class, equity, debt, and fixed income and real estate, there is some basis to it. When you invest in equity, you are getting ownership. When you are investing in debt, you are lending your money, and somebody else is putting that money to work, and that is why you are getting the return. Real estate, either you are consuming it, you are living in that house, or you are renting that house, and things can change depending on the outlook, depending on the location, and 50 other things. But these are assets which have some basis in reality. Gold as an asset, it just sits in your locker, and the appreciation is entirely dependent on more people demanding or needing gold or aspiring to have gold in future. But assuming that for historical reasons, this is the only asset class which has emerged of late in a financial form, which has the longest history. Our financial markets are not that old. Real estate has been, and gold. So I would say that if at all you are somehow for some reason committed to having gold, then these sovereign gold bonds are the finest way of having it, because these are issued by Government of India, and if we believe that the Government of India will honor all its commitment, then these bonds will be honored. The price appreciation or depreciation is linked to the gold prices, and you get little more return than gold, because you get I think nowadays you get 2.5% more than gold prices annually. That's one. If you hold it for the entire term, which is the 8-year term, then all the gains is also tax free. So the tax treatment and extra return than gold and all other forms of gold ownership, it costs money. When you own jewelry, it will be, there will be substantial making charges. 100 rupee will not be worth 100 rupee, and it will be just 84 rupee or 85 rupee something. And then ability to realize it, the degree of purity, so you'll be unsure of that. Likewise, when it comes to coins and other things, I really wonder, what happens, the liquidity bit of it, your ability to realize it when you need the money. In this case, it's different. Of course, we are compromising on the liquidity, but there is an interim liquidity available. You can sell these bonds in the market.
Okay. Now, the second query has been sent in by Jyoti, and she asks, is this the right time to take allocation in international funds and gold?
I don't know about gold. If at all you should have gold, then I would say have it like an emergency allocation. But international funds, yes, because we have our jobs. The very reason why we invest in mutual fund, the very reason why you should diversify your investment, is the reason why you should invest in international fund. Our jobs are here, our assets are here, and all our investments are here. So you de-risk yourself. There is another reason why we should be investing in some international fund. Their investment case is compelling. Our Indian companies, some of them are very attractive, but some international companies or portfolios, they are offering you an investment avenue which is otherwise not available to Indians in such a simple format. If you have that NASDAQ 100, top 5 companies are the top 5 technology companies in the world. The kind of growth rate that we witness there, and the valuation as compared to Indian companies, is much lower. When you look at Infosys versus Microsoft as an investment avenue, it's not a comparable avenue, because it's a service company, and that's a completely different kind of company with greater promise. But on the valuation front, it might look very attractive. So I would say, yes, definitely, international fund should be essential. It should be a essential part of any diversified portfolio.
Okay, then. Now, Sumedha asks, out of NPS and PPF, which is a better option to invest for retirement?
For retirement, depends on what is your time frame. If you are investing for 15 years and more, NPS with a large equity allocation, because PPF gets you guaranteed return, but a relatively lower return. My sense is that it will be much lower than what you earn from equity. Today, it has become possible in your NPS account to have 75% allocation to equity. Then the low cost of NPS makes it very attractive. Then on top of it, you get the similar tax break. When you invest in PPF, you get the ATC benefit. When you invest in NPS, you get little more than ATC benefit, because you can invest 1.5 lakh rupees plus additional 50,000 rupees. So little extra tax break, the potentially superior return, and the lowest cost. So NPS for any period of 10 years and more, or 15 years and more, NPS should be the choice.
Shruti's mother has recently retired from a government job, and she's received about 40 lakh rupees. Where should she invest it?
It entirely depends on her context in terms of whether she'll be getting some pension. Retired from a government job, so I'm assuming that she'll be getting pension. Then it depends on what is the additional income she aspires to have, or she might be needing from this 40 lakh rupee accumulation that she has on her retirement. If her requirement for income is not there, her pension will be more than enough for her income requirement. Then this should be conservatively invested in a something like 40-50% into equity, 40-50% into fixed income, simply because then it will grow, and you don't need to might as well, this money should grow conservatively and well. If there is a need for income, then it requires a different approach. A part of that money should get into some guaranteed return vehicle, which will provide you a steady income without any uncertainty. So it depends.
Okay. Now, Anjali wants to know if you would suggest investing in Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana for her 4-year-old daughter.
No, and it might sound counterintuitive, because Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana is nothing but a public provident fund for the girl child, and issued by government. So there is no issue about the safety of it, also the return of it, and also the taxability of it. But the real thing is that when you are investing for 15 years term for a 4-year-old child, and the money might be needed for after 14, 15, 16 years for her education or for wedding or whatever, then my sense is that any allocation to equity, not even 100%, I'm not saying 100%, but 60%, 50%, 75%, depending on your comfort, is likely to generate far superior return than the Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, because Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana will definitely give you the return, but the predictable return, or like PPF, but it will not have the upside. And given the time frame that you have, it should be invested in a manner that can maximize return, not just keep it safe.
The next question has been sent in by Prerna, and she says she read somewhere that debt funds are a better alternative to fixed deposits. So she wants to know, aren't debt funds risky? Which out of the two, debt funds and fixed deposits, should be preferred?
Yes, debt funds are relatively risky as compared to fixed deposits, because they can go up and down in value. They don't give you they don't promise you a return, unlike like a fixed deposit. Mm-hmm. When you make a deposit, you are told that this is a 1-year term, you'll get this much, and depending on the bank, you are unlikely to be unsure of that. But there are advantages of investing in a debt fund, which is, when you invest in a debt fund, the tax treatment is different. Most of the time, the return from debt funds could be a little higher than the deposit. And if you hold your debt fund for 3 years and more, the tax could be far, it could be far more efficient, simply because it will be treated as a capital gains. And the capital gains tax on that fixed income investment, your ability to convert an interest income into a capital gain gets you a huge advantage, because in a deposit, even if you're not deriving the interest, you are liable to pay taxes on your interest income every year. One, you are not supposed to pay taxes till you realize the investment, till you realize any part of the gain. After realizing the gain, if it is 3 years and more, it will be considered long-term capital gains. So that's quite advantageous. Plus, you have risk of varying kind depending on the kind of fund that you choose. If you choose an overnight fund or a liquid fund or an ultra short-term bond fund, I don't think they are very risky. In fact, overnight fund, I would say that they are not. They are safer than bank deposit, simply because they are investing in banks, and they are investing in banks of multiple, many banks. So there are banks which can fail, but overnight fund, it's unlikely that those banks will fail at the same time. So overnight funds could be safer than deposit. Sometimes I think my understanding is that liquid funds, given the design now, they are reasonably safe. And beyond that, there are funds which are risky. Income funds could be risky. Sometimes the gilt funds could be risky. Gilt funds invest only in government securities, but if interest rate goes up, they will actually take a big hit in terms of value. So depends. 2-3 kind of funds, debt funds, they are relatively safe, and you can well consider that. But other funds, if you are investing just by looking at the past performance and getting attracted to them, keep away from that. Debt funds can be risky. We have recently witnessed a decline in value of many of the debt funds. So you're right, they are risky, and if you do it without just looking at the return, it could be even more risky.
Now, Shilpa asks, considering the current market scenario, which fund among large cap and mid cap should one choose?
I don't know. It amounts to guessing which segment will do well, and which segment will do well over a long period of time. And because I keep suggesting or keep insisting that when you are investing in equity, you should be investing in for 5 years and more. Then during this 5 years and more, there will be a market cycle in which large cap will do well, mid cap will do well, and even small cap will do well. And with that in mind, invest in a flexi cap fund, invest in a multi cap fund. The reason is that the fund manager will have greater freedom to invest in any part of the market, and during this period, there will be segments of the market which will do well and do poorly, and you'll be able to you'll be able to ride that better.
Okay. Now today's last query has been sent in by Shashi, and she says that the lock-in period of her old ELSS investment has completed and they're about 2 lakh rupees. She also has a personal loan of around 1.5 lakh rupees. So would you suggest redeeming her ELSS investments to prepay the loan, or should she continue with the EMIs?
I would say, personal loan, just check what is the rate of interest that you're paying. If it's high, many a times if it's from your employer and it is some kind of concessional 5-6% or maybe interest free or some such thing, then carry on with your loan. If it is a high return, if the interest payable on your personal loan is very high, then prepay it.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you, Dhirendra.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our viewers. Do keep sending us those questions and keep watching the space for more information. Bye for now.